Discuss Chantelle Cameron versus Katie Taylor 2. And you could ask the question, which would be a fair one. Was this fight a robbery? It wasn't a robbery. Let's just get that out of the way. It wasn't a robbery. Okay? Smash that like button if you want to support this channel. The link is in the chat section. You can donate to the channel via PayPal. I do not make money off of YouTube. They don't pay me. Google doesn't pay me. I come from a part of the world where Google doesn't pay you. So if you really want to help me out and the channel, donate via PayPal. The PayPal link is right there in the chat section. All right. If you want to chop it up with me as well in the chat, feel free to do so. Let's talk about this fight in women's boxing. It also happened over the weekend. That was Katie Taylor versus Chantelle Cameron. And it was a 10-rounder for the undisputed super lightweight championship of the world. And in the first round, Chantelle Cameron actually drops Katie Taylor with a jab, but it is not counted in the fight. It is not counted in the fight as a knockdown. They said it was a slip, but it actually was a knockdown. She actually did knock her down. That would have tipped the fight in favor of Chantelle Cameron because it was a close fight. Chantelle Cameron was bringing the pressure most of the fight. Katie Taylor was the one boxing off the back foot. Chantelle Cameron was beating up Katie Taylor quite a lot, but this time Katie Taylor knew how to clinch, and she was clinching quite a lot. But Cameron still, to me, was doing the better work, the body work. She was hitting Katie Taylor to the body. Katie Taylor had a lot of fight in her, no doubt about it. She fought very hard. A lot of the rounds were rounds that could go one way or the other, swing rounds. The results of the fight was one judge had it a draw, and the other two judges, one judge had it way too wide. I think it was 97-92, and the other judge had a 96-94, which was much more sensible, closer fight. And one judge had a 95-95. Me personally, I think that Chantelle Cameron should have retained her title. At the least, it should have been a draw, or she should have won the fight. So it was a heavily Katie Taylor crowd. It was in Ireland, Dublin, where the fight happened. Katie Taylor obviously is the cash cow. And so all of that plays into play, as you know, in boxing. And so anyway, she became a two-divisional undisputed champion off of a majority decision win. Me personally, I feel like they shortchanged Chantelle Cameron. She fought a really good fight. I think she hurt Katie Taylor more than Katie Taylor hurt her. And it is what it is, though. This is boxing. I think that Cameron actually won that fight, though. Very good fighter. But if you don't clearly beat the A side, it seems this is the way how it goes in boxing. And they have a home court advantage. If the A side puts up a decent fight, you know how it goes in this boxing sport. I was just talking to somebody else who was talking about Jose Luis Castillo versus Floyd Mayweather. And that, the guy thought that Castillo won that fight or did enough to retain his title. And I told him, well, this is what you need to do. You need to go back and watch the fight. Maybe with the commentary section off. Or you could look at the top-ranked telecast. I don't care what you do. But go back and watch the fight. Here's the things I want you to look for, right? Which didn't happen in the Katie Taylor fight. Katie Taylor fight was a very physical fight, where Chantelle Cameron was beating down Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor always looked tired every single round. She was bloody at the end of the fight. She got beaten down at the end of the fight. She was happy for the win, but to be honest with you, I thought Chantelle Cameron did enough to retain her title. Cameron was not the one worse for wear. It was Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor's face was all bloody and everything. Cameron did get there was a clash of heads later on in the fight. I think almost in the last round. Cameron was the one doing the better work. Cameron was the one who was the aggressor. Cameron should have won the fight, all right? But, in this case, Katie Taylor was in front of a home crowd, all of that. So it was what it was. Now, with Jose Luis Castillo versus Floyd Mayweather, I dare you guys. First of all, Floyd dropped Jose Luis Castillo early. I think it was in the second round. Whereas Katie Taylor was dropped in the first round by Chantelle Cameron. Yes, Jose Luis Castillo was the aggressor for the most part of the fight. So we give Jose Luis Castillo points for that. But he was missing like crazy. Chantelle Cameron was landing her body punches. Castillo was missing almost everything, right? Saturday landed one or two punches. At the end of the fight, Jose Luis Castillo said this, and this is what is the telltale sign. Larry Merchant said, so don't you think that you easily won this fight? I want to hear your view on it, if you thought you were easily the winner, right? This is Larry Merchant. And what does Jose Luis Castillo say? He says this was by no means an easy fight. That's what he said. He said it was a very complicated fight. That's what he said. He said, but I thought I came out the winner. Anytime somebody starts off by saying this wasn't an easy fight, this was a complicated fight, that tells you they were confused. Okay? They were confused. Shout out to Just K. Salute what you need. Taylor got a horseshoe over her head. Girlfriend lost the fight. Home cooking was in full effect. Yeah, I thought she lost the fight. I don't think it was a robbery. It was a close fight. But the fact that the referee didn't call the knockdown, I think, also influenced that. But yeah, I thought she did not win that fight. I thought that Chantelle Cameron did more than enough to retain her title. If they got her draw, that would have been cool, you know, because I thought Cameron did the better work, actually. The body work that Katie Taylor was doing flurries, you know. She'd catch Cameron every now and then with a headshot. But really and truly, the one who was actually doing the effective work in that entire fight was Chantelle Cameron. And she kept her composure. She wasn't tired at the end of the fight. Katie Taylor was breathing hard. You know, Katie Taylor stole the show because she was with her home crowd. You know, the home crowd would influence the judges with all the anything Katie Taylor did. It's kind of almost like a Pacquiao fight. And it was, you know, Cameron had to definitively beat Katie Taylor. The fight was closer than it was before the other fight, even though both were close fights. But I think the difference was that the referee did not score that knockdown that Chantelle Cameron had in the very first round. They didn't score it. And that was the 10-8 run. That definitely would have given Cameron the win, in my opinion, or the draw. So it is what it is, Just Gay. I just thought I would talk about it with you guys. Tell me, Just Gay, if you're still there. Smash the like button. Don't forget to smash the like button. But tell me something. Do you think that Mayweather versus Castillo, the first fight, do you think that Mayweather lost that first fight? Explain to me why not. Whereas, why do you think that Katie Taylor lost this second rematch here? Why do you think that? So I want to hear the difference in your opinion on why you think Mayweather won the first fight with Jose Luis. If you did. I don't know if you believe that Mayweather won the first fight, because I don't know. But I would like to hear why you think that, what's the difference there? Because I think there was a significant difference, but I would like to hear that. I was talking on a forum about Floyd Mayweather. I realized a lot of things about a lot of people. I've been around boxing for like 40 plus years. I've been watching boxing. So I've seen all sorts of great fighters. So when people say, why Floyd's not TBE, he's not this, you're being disingenuous. The guy did enough to be called TBE if he wants to be called TBE. You know what I'm saying? He more than did enough for that. And I've seen a lot of boxers. You guys know I've seen a lot of boxers. I love boxing. You know, I call fights. You know, I try to do predictions. But you know, boxing's a sport where you think you know, but you don't ever really know what will happen. And so I want to hear you guys explain to me why Katie Taylor, why do you think Katie Taylor lost the fight to Chantelle Cameron, or Chantelle Cameron at least got a draw? And whereas with Mayweather versus Castillo, it was different. Because I'm gonna show you guys why. But I want to hear your opinion first, right? So go ahead. I'm not using StreamYard today, but I'll use StreamYard another time. And then I want to hear your guys' view on another thing. I want to hear you guys' view on Regis Prograis versus Devin Haney. Do you guys think that Devin Haney will have enough strength and power? Because Regis is a very physical guy. He's very strong. And he's very powerful. What is Devin Haney going to do you think, to keep Regis off of him. From what we saw with David Benavidez, how he was able to land that first shot, and that kind of dictated the whole fight. Do you think that will happen with Devin Haney? So I want to hear what you guys got to say about that. What you need in the building. Don't forget you can donate via PayPal. The link is right there on the top of the chat. Don't forget you can smash the like button if you're coming through in the area. I just want to hear what you guys got to say about that. I love to hear people talk. So Just K said he thought that Taylor got a horseshoe over her head. Girlfriend lost the fight. Home cooking was in full effect. So what's the difference? Why was that home cooked, but Mayweather versus Castillo wasn't home cooked? Of course they had a rematch clause for the champ. But I just want to know why you guys say that, and is that different? Go ahead, I'm waiting on you guys. I'm waiting on you guys. What you need in the building, don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget you can donate via PayPal. The link is in the chat section. Unfortunately, you guys can't jump on and say your piece, but I'm going to use StreamYard the next time. Right now, I just wanted to talk some boxing with you guys. I was on Mill City, man. I was on Mill City, talked to the coach there. Good peoples. He predicted correctly that Benavidez would win the fight. Yeah. Shout out to Mill City. Don't forget you guys can check that out. Nobody want to say anything? All right, let me break it down what I think. All right, so Katie Taylor was getting manhandled by Chantelle Cameron, in my opinion, especially the body puncher. She wasn't protecting her body properly. You know, she was toughing it out and throwing combinations, but you know, she wasn't really protecting her body. That was the thing. So Chantelle Cameron was getting to score some, you know, really nice body shots on Katie Taylor. I also thought Chantelle Cameron was actually getting the better of the exchanges. Even though Katie Taylor was throwing more punches, I thought Chantelle Cameron was getting the better of the exchanges. She was actually landing on Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor wasn't that evasive, just that she was tougher. So I think that's the major difference. I think with Floyd, Castillo was missing a lot of shots. You know, he wasn't landing much of anything. And that's why Castillo said the fight was complicated and it wasn't easy at all. And in the rematch, it proved the point by Floyd really, you know, clowning Castillo, all kinds of things, right? So that's what I think. I think they wanted to give Katie the fight, though. So it is what it is. She got the accolade. I'm not convinced. There are two people I don't think Katie Taylor beat, to be honest with you. One is Pursoon. I don't think she ever beat Pursoon in the first and the second fight. They gave her the second fight. Delphine Pursoon, that was at Super Feather, I believe. And I don't think she beat Chantelle Cameron. I never saw her beat Chantelle Cameron. I haven't seen her beat Chantelle Cameron. So, you know, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, you know, that's their shining light. You know, but in my personal humble opinion, I never seen her beat Delphine Pursoon. And I've never seen her beat Chantelle Cameron. Those are two styles, and they are both pressure styles that have been busting her ass up. You know? But it is what it is. It's boxing. And you see Katie Taylor came out with a big puffy eyes. She got busted up eyes. Her face is busted up, but she won the fight. Come on now. Floyd didn't get busted up by Castillo either, right? So that showed you Castillo wasn't really landing all of that stuff that they say he was landing, right? Anyways, that's what I got for you. I am what you need. You guys have a good day. God bless you. Free Palestine all day, every day. Again, I appeal to the United Nations. I appeal to the governments of the world to rock hard in sanctioning Israel at this time and putting trade embargoes on them and removing your diplomatic ties from them. They are criminal. The government is criminal. They're doing criminal things. Do not endorse it. Also, I hope that the United Nations will beef up and send some military down into Palestine to protect the people so that Israel wouldn't just bomb them. I don't care what Israel says. They're going to have to make way for the United Nations. And the United Nations needs to stand up and use their teeth. They got NATO. You got the Security Council. There are people willing on the Security Council to make it happen. Y'all don't need to have a complete majority. Come on, just get a majority. Find something, some law, whatever, to pass that it just requires a majority, and then get it done. But y'all really sleeping on this. Y'all letting this genocide go too far. And even though we're in a ceasefire, Israel's talking about starting back again. There's no reason for Israel to be in Gaza. They haven't found Hamas. They said they found some money, but it's their money that they donated. Yitzhak Rabin's on record saying that he support in 2019. He said, you know, we have to finance Hamas, we have to support Hamas, so there will be no united Palestine. He literally said that. So he's been funding Hamas. Okay. Secondly, and secondly, this dude's on record saying how he sabotaged the Oslo process. Okay, so I don't want to hear about this Netanyahu guy. He need to go, right? He needs to be tried for war crimes at The Hague. Also, in addition, and you can put Yair Lapid back. You know, he was more of a conservative guy. Wherever Palestine wants to go with this, but they need to become either a state or they need to join Israel, and they need to have some new state. They need to stop this killing. They're killing a lot of people in the West Bank because a lot of people were celebrating the fact that some prisoners were released. I think about 70-something prisoners were released from Israel's prisons on Trump-up charges. Some of them really were part of Hamas or whatever, but some of them was on Trump-up charges, just normal average people. And exchange of Israelis. So we saw the celebrations in Israel, and we saw the celebrations in Palestine. And again, the Israeli IDF shot tear gas at the people who were celebrating. Always this very vicious, very callous behavior. When the Palestinian lady was able to come back home and the family was happy, they had cookies and stuff, the IDF came and just destroyed all that stuff. What is wrong with the IDF? What is wrong with these people? Get control of your army, Israel. On the other hand, Hamas has been nothing but stellar to all the captives. They have nothing but good things to say about Hamas. This is ridiculous. You know, even the thing that made the big row, which was the German Israeli kid who eventually died from a gunshot wound, which Hamas was carrying in, and she looked like she was partially, exposed or naked. They were carrying her back. They carried her back to the hospital, but I don't know if it was Hamas that shot her in the head. She got shot in the head, or it was the IDF. We don't know, but Hamas was carrying her back to try and save her life. Okay, so it all goes to show Israelis don't do that. Literally, there's footage of an IDF soldier shooting dead a young kid who he was trying to hijack to carry the prisoner. I don't know what the kid did. Okay, a man was walking on the road with his daughter. They shot him dead. We saw footage just recently, I think it was yesterday, of an IDF sniper sniping people going to the United Nations to get food. And they sniped a guy on his leg. He was on the ground. A lady came to try and rescue him, and they started firing at her. And then they started firing at another gentleman, and then they shot the guy dead. Then they were going to drag the body out. Literally, Gaza and press was covering this. Okay? This is the kind of insanity that's going on in Palestine whenever the IDF or whenever Israeli soldiers or anything like that or police are in there. They need to leave. Leave all the occupied territories. All the settlers need to leave. And they need to go back into Israel. Or you're going to have to incorporate everything into a new state. And everybody gets access to all the lands and everything. And y'all going to have to stop shooting people like that. You can't consider them terrorists. You have to consider them citizens. And I'll be honest with you. I'm starting to side with Hamas. I don't care what nobody say. I'm starting to side with Hamas. Hamas is behaving. I'm not saying it's not propaganda. Don't get me wrong. But the way how they're conducting themselves is way better than the IDF is conducting itself. Okay? The IDF is looking bad. So if this was some kind of propaganda by Hamas, they are being very successful with it. Because they're showing people what the Palestinians have to go through on a daily basis. I mean, I've seen documentaries, I've seen a lot of things from people, even from Israelis themselves, documented film and stuff from the soldiers who left and they're now in trying to tell the story and why this thing is wrong. And it's just amazing. It's not just Palestinians talking this. It's like, you know, and for the people who are Muslim or the people who are Islamic, please support these people. These people that have nobody to support them. They're seen as bad people. The Palestinians need our help, people. And, you know, I do the best I can in the world. And I always try to talk about this topic now because something has to be done. And I know what it needs to be done, but they have to come together. I don't care. Hamas got to come together. It's a political organization. Yes, you know, in Western terms, it's terrorists. In Eastern terms, they're considered the resistance. The global South would call them resistance to oppression. In the Western world, and what the Western media will like you to know, they'll call them terrorists. Well, they do acts of terror, but for the most part, Hamas has been attacking military bases, actually taking out the base, commandeering the bases. And then after they commandeered the bases, they went to kidnap some people, and they kidnapped 200 and something people. All right. And they went back into Gaza with them. All right, cool. That is somewhat of a terrorist act, nonetheless, because you're not supposed to be kidnapping citizens, right? But if you think about Robin Hood, if you think about Zorro, okay, we have Western stories like this, okay? If you think about Rebel Moon, it's going, all of these movies and stuff are going to speak on the same thing. So the upcoming movie Rebel Moon, people glorify these things in the cinema, or they glorify these things on TV. We like it. We live vicarious. Even Batman, for crying out loud. Batman's a vigilante. Okay, he doesn't always follow the law. I mean, he doesn't kill people, but I'm just saying this is wrong. And anybody who has a heart, I'm not saying that I condone what they do. I'm not going to do that. I'm not a violent person like that, right? But I do understand the measures they took. And they're seen as a hero right now to a lot of people in the global South. I'm not going to lie. All right? Anyways, that's what I got for you guys right now. Me personally, about Hamas, they seem to be an evolving entity. Them and Hezbollah, there's something called the Brotherhood. So there's the resistance fighters who are in Hezbollah. We have resistance fighters in Egypt. We have resistance fighters in Palestine. They're what we call the edge of resistance, they're called. When the Arab Spring started to happen, some of these people were involved in that, but mostly the militant arm of the Arab Spring. So they're like more the militant arm. There are different arms of Hamas, and Hamas is much bigger than people think. It has grown quite a lot thanks to, again, Mr. Netanyahu, who funded them. You know, everybody talks about, you know, Iran, forgetting right in front of your face. The man even admits it, that he funded them. He was sending money. That's why he's on corruption charges. He was sending money in suitcases to Hamas in Gaza. See, just for you guys to understand a little bit, I don't want to go into this thing too much detail, but it's not that complicated, okay? Think about it this way. Native peoples was in a land. Another set of people who claimed that it was their land came back. Nobody says you can't come back to your land and repatriate. Nobody says that. Nobody will ever say that. The problem was, these people who came back thought the land was solely for them, and pitched it as if there was nobody else existing there. There was the Bedouins, there was the Berber, there was the Arabs, okay? There was even Jews there when they came, okay? Just like how, you know, the Puritans came to the New World to the United States of America, and it was like the vast landscape. There's nobody there, but there were people. There were native peoples there, Native Americans, right? And the very same way. So this is why it's called settler colonization. All right. I don't want to spend too much time. You guys go do your homework on it. It's all about, you can get it on the internet. There's people doing videos, there's movies, there's all kinds of things on this topic. Okay. But the short version of it is, just like with all settler colonizations, the people move in and then they kill off the people, whether it's through disease, whether it's intentionally, whether it's through warfare. They kill off the people that's living there, or they chase them out, ethnic cleanse them, as they say, and then they live as if it was their place. And this is exactly what Israel is doing. And the Most High God does not act like that, even though once upon a time it seemed that way. Like when they went into, they passed through Jericho, the walls of Jericho, and then they went into the promised land. But the promised land was in Palestine, given to Abraham through the king of Palestine at the time, who was known as an Abimelech. Okay, so it's not like Abraham seized land and kicked people off of it. It didn't work like that. It was the king offered him land, he came, and the people there were making arguments and debates with him about wells that he was drilling. So what did he do? He didn't fight the people. He went and drilled until they said, all right, it's cool. And he was cool with everybody. All Israel needed to do was go into Palestine, okay, and chill out amongst the people. And when they wanted, like when the Ottoman Empire and the British Empire was over, they just said, okay, it's time for us to be national, to form our own nation. Talk with the people in the area. And set up, they should have negotiated with the people in the area. Instead, they went over everybody's head and they tried to make a deal with the British. They were only talking to Europeans. That's where they made their mistake. But they have the opportunity, even to this day, to undo their mistake, to bring back the people who they kicked out of the country, who cannot re-enter the country. Isn't this crazy? They put a travel ban on them. They can't repatriate. They're exiles. They exile them, which is illegal. If you are a refugee, you should be allowed to go back to your home country. And the people went back and they killed some of them and they chased the others away. So my point being, this is the whole entire issue concerning Palestine. Even if you're ruling an area or district, allow the people to return to that district and live there. The Ottoman Empire was like that, right? The Turkish Empire first, they had rulership over the people, but they allowed the people to live there. Then there was the British Empire. Again, they allowed the people to live there. There was no big deal. Allowed the people to live there. But when the Israelis came, they decided they had to have a nation for exclusively for them. And that's when it went south. Because that's when they won some wars. But if you are the victor, you allow the people still to come back in, the civilians to come back in and live, right? So you win the war, but you allow them to come back. No, they kicked them out. They killed them off and they kicked them off. And that's what's wrong. And it's not right just because other places in the world it's happening. It's wrong everywhere. Azerbaijan, we have the Armenians, the Christian Armenians, that they ethnic cleansed out of the country and it's now in Armenia. That's not supposed to happen. That's wrong. What's happening right now with Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Sudan, I believe, with that war right there is wrong. You get what I'm saying? It's just because it's happening around the world doesn't make it right. This making news right now is getting everybody's attention. The infiltration of Russia into Ukraine, a sovereign state, is wrong. Period. Period. It doesn't matter how these people run their country. It doesn't matter if Ukraine runs their country atrociously. You can't just break international laws. Okay? So, at the end of the day, I'm not a hater. I don't hate Israel per se. I hate the system that they have. I don't hate them. I don't hate the people. And I think they should just try and revert back to what they were before the British and Israel legislated a kingdom. It just have the whole place available for everybody, and have one state elected by the vast mixed majority of people who decide what it is, whether it's Arabs or Jews, whatever. And you have still your Jewish population that, again, you can invite Jews there, not a problem. But you must make sure that you have the people who you kicked out of the country must be allowed to come in and out. There should be free flow to and fro. Right now, there are Palestinians inside of Palestine who are restricted. They can't leave Gaza. They're just in Gaza. They can't leave Gaza. Okay? Because there's no airport. They can't go by sea because they'll get shut down there. And they can't, and they get bombed ever so often. So this is not right. Okay? It's a hellhole. And then in the West Bank, it's the same thing. They can't go down certain streets. They can't go in certain roads. This is ridiculous. So make it either one country or get the fuck out of the people's country. Get the fuck out of the West Bank. Get the fuck out of East Jerusalem. Get the fuck out of the North. And let those areas all be connected so they don't ever have to intersect with your country. And there you go. You will have, you let the Palestinians live by themselves and you let the Israelis live by themselves. That's the pre-1967 or the 1967, what happened after 1967. You have that situation where the Palestinians can go to Jordan or whatever, and now they have to get their own resources and all of that stuff. All right? If not, then a one-state solution is the answer. Okay? And so again, just like the hostage exchange, it's a win-win. One state, let's call it Israel-Palestine. So the Palestinians know that they have their stake in it. The Israelis know they have their stake in it. We have this immigrant set of people that came together, and we have the native peoples that are together, and they live together, and they share resources. I mean, why not? And the Palestinians get to grow their olive oil again. They get to grow their olive trees. They get to do their agriculture. The Berber gets to do their sheep and goats. So you have a mixed cultural country in which you have Jews are welcome there from all over the world, and you have also Arabs that live there, and you have also Berber and all these other people. But if you're just going to have samples of them, this is what they have, samples of them inside the country, and they call them Arab Israelis and blah, 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 blah. But you're mistreating the other people who you claim they're not Palestinian. There's no state of Palestine. Then it's part of Israel. That's what you're basically saying. So then you have an apartheid regime which must be destroyed. You can't have one set of people being treated one way and the other set of people not being treated that way. And you're oppressing them. You can't have that. So right now, the Palestine issue is in limbo. Either Palestine becomes its own state and Israel cannot cross the borders of the state. And it must have its own things. It must have its own airport. It must have its own business. It must have its own defense. And in the interim, the United Nations will keep the peace. Right? Because you can't just be going through the people's places and bombing them like that. Okay? You can't be doing those things. I don't care what they've done to you. You can't just do that. Even if they violate it. You can't just do that. You have to be pinpoint accurate in targeting whoever it was that violated. Until you have a concrete system. Right now, the system of Palestine is in a mess. There's no official anything. They had elections. That's cool. But they don't have one official government. They have the PLA and Fatah in the West Bank, and then they got Hamas in Gaza. That's not, So all I'm saying is the international community needs to put pressure on Israel, and a lot of economic. We don't want to go to. Nobody wants to go to war. Okay, war doesn't benefit anybody. But we're going to protect the Gazans, because nobody's protecting the Gazans. Nobody's protecting the West Bank people. They're at the mercy of Israel, and they're not going to exclusively be able to exploit these people. So the United Nations Army and military needs to go in there, just like what they did in Bosnia, just like what they did in Yugoslavia, and keep the peace. That's all I got to say about that. I'm going to catch you guys later. I am what you need. Blessings to everybody. I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace.